Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pajodquest. Things got a little bit crazy last time, but thank God we substituted out Ryan for Shane, so now we have a little bit of a semblance of normalcy. Wait, Chris, we can
Indeed. Alright, so last time on Pajodquest, the revelry was compounded as the stakes were raised within the walls of the Pirate and Wayne, a dwarf-made inn in the foreign district of Rote. Elves were wooed while the competition was locked in a stinking outhouse. Kobolds attacked, nearly slaying Brutalitops, who was defended at the last minute by the powerful druid he was wooing as the inn full of adventurers slew the kobold attackers. Vampyro found himself in a drinking contest with a wily rogue at the bar, which he lost, but with whom he took to bed anyway in a foray of lewd magical shenanigans. Quadri performed a dark ritual alone in his room, nearly dying in the process of binding the dark fey powers to his trusty rusty rapier. Brutalitops took his savior to bed, and thinking her an assassin, battled her to the death, before Vampyro attempted a rescue, burning down the inn in the process. The party was thoroughly enmeshed in chaos, some now in trouble with the law, others simply retreating to the comfort of Gint Manor. Baggy and Valor had long since returned to the estate, and as Brutalitops stepped before the looming mansion, his arm was caught by a stunningly beautiful lass. She introduced herself as Elissa of the dragon-marked house of Madani, and she had a problem. There was evidence of powerful magical activity emanating from the estate that some local scholars and business people had found disruptive. The estate was an eyesore to some, and most serious of all, the city required payment of a decade worth of property taxes to be rendered immediately. So, we will resume the conversation with Lady Madani in a bit, but not quite yet.
Wait,
we have other things to attend to first.
We get the magical equivalent of a noise complaint? Are you kidding me?
Essentially.
Oh, dope. Okay, I know how to handle this.
I'm sorry, no, that's wrong.
I love that music, though.
Alrighty.
I also love that music.
Before we begin, I want to ask Chris something. So because of the chaos of last session, I'm going to do several rapid sort of point of view snapshots to help you guys sort of get back together if you want. Chris, do you want Vampyro to be like present or like taken from wherever he is in the city to sort of be present for events, or did you want him to be like out and about in the city for a while until you decide kind of when to come back?
Chris, we can't hear you at all, bud.
Forgot I have it on push to talk.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he can make his way to the manor quick. I don't care. Have him start there. Yeah, I was thinking he would just eventually end up there anyway.
Sure, no worries. So that's really all we need to ask. I was going to ask Ryan as well, but unfortunately Ryan is not with us this time with Quadri. So Quadri is currently in the city going about his various business.
Magically got
probably
into Baggy.
probably smashing his rapier.
Could be.
All right. So I already told Shane about the cards. All right. We'll actually do goals after all this little intro, so you guys have more of an opportunity to kind of make goals this session that makes sense, because right now everything's kind of everywhere. So we'll do that afterward.
I think at this point my goal should be not to light someone on fire.
Yeah, I mentioned that as one of my possible ones. Apparently not doing something does not qualify.
Valor and Baggy. We'll start here. So when Shane was present the last time he was playing, Valor had agreed to return to Gint Manor. And so it was that Valor walked through the city of Rote, the city he called home for now, until he stood before Gint Estate. As he admired the loose plaster and rotted siding of Gint Manor, the gnarled underbrush and poorly painted peeling yellow door, he felt a tongue lap at his ankle.
Excellent. Before that happens, I just want to mention that I bought a churro, or something resembling a churro, on my way through the city.
What is a churro?
It's like a bread.
You've never heard of a
pastry.
churro before?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
It's like covered in cinnamon. It's like a long like stick bread. I don't know why I'm doing physical when you can't see us, but I forgot. It's like a piece of bread that's like long and covered in like cinnamon. You can buy them at Sam's.
I'm gonna, yeah, just bear with me for 2 seconds.
Yes.
The
It's
shape
very
is
important that
probably
you know what I'm
important to
doing.
his to whatever he's planning to do with it.
All right,
up.
I shall gaze upon the mighty churro. Oh, look at that! It is a tasty looking treat.
Yeah.
Slightly
Okay. So
phallic
I have a
shaped,
churro.
but, you know, what can you do?
Awesome. All right, so holding his precious churro, he felt a tongue lap at his ankle. Before Valor knew what was happening, he was gobbled by Beggy the luggage. It was quite a startling thing, as you might imagine, being eaten by a supposedly tame relative of a mimic. What Valor found, however, was surprisingly soothing. Inside Beggy, there was honey-colored carpets, furniture, and drapes that decorated a room fit for a count. Pleasant music played in the background, while a shelf full of all manner of ancient tomes stood proud on a far wall, a blazing fireplace crackling merrily nearby. Though Valor was unable to find an exit, it seemed no more than an hour later that he was wrenched by a powerful wind toward the nearest wall. Hair in disarray, Valor was belched onto creaky floorboards. The luggage grinned facelessly. It appeared Valor had been spat out in the foyer of Gint Manor, and there was a sound of conversation coming from the entrance door. All right. So we're going to snap to Vampyro's perspective. Vampyro had fled into the city streets, filled with a number of emotions concerning the morning's festivities. Perhaps satisfaction, perhaps regret. That is for Vampyro to decide. But there was also some emptiness, I guess. Or, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what your character's feeling, but you get the point. It was not long after he decided to seek out. Sorry, it was not long after this that he decided to seek out the address given to him by those that exhumed Vampyro from the crypt. I'll just say that one of you gave Vampyro the address because that makes things more sensical. As Vampyro clambered down Woody Road, cloak rippling in the morning breeze, he noticed a blobby-looking goblin peering out the glisteningly glitzy shop that stood opposite Gint Manor. It was a new construction, and Vampyro, of course, knew little about it, except that an overly wrought sign affixed with glowing magic said, "Big Benny's Noodles," atop the shop. The blubbery goblin muttered as he stared at the address that must be Gint Manor, peering at the two people chatting on the step. Vampyro, you notice Brutalitops is talking with a young woman outside the manor door. The goblin sneers in impatience as he spies the two, continuing to stare and mutter, scratching his largesse. All right, now we're going to snap to Brutalitops' perspective.
Okay.
So allow me to sort of restart this conversation a little bit. So Brutalitops faces a startlingly attractive half-elf, or Koravar, or Koravar as they are known in this land. She has just informed him of something rather startling. So I'll just put the beginning of the conversation in chat again. And of course, you had something in mind what to say. By the way, Valor and Vampyro, since you're sort of... Valor, you're inside the house, but can hear the conversation. Vampyro, you can see them talking. Either of you can intercede at any time, approach, open the door, whatever you want. I'm just going to do this right now.
Okay. Well, I will start slowly walking towards the front door, but before I do that, I give Beggy a pet on the head a few times, and I throw him a copper, and I say,
"All right,
good boy."
He takes it and eats it with relish. So that's what Alyssa said.
Okay.
To you, Brutalitops.
Hello there. I am Alyssa of House Madani. At your service. You must be ... Brutalitops, I presume. It's the blue hair. It sort of gives it away. I'm afraid we need to have a serious conversation concerning ... Gint Manor. A conversation concerning ... quite a few years of unpaid property taxes. Alright, so while she's saying this, Dane, I'm going to do a perception check. Because...
Alright.
Have you ever seen Sherlock?
Yes.
Yeah. You know how he'll like look at something and he can derive things about that person from a quick glance?
Yes.
I'm going to try to Cumberbatch this bitch. I want to know how... I want to know what I can say to get her into a good mood. Whether seduction is the best way to pay off these taxes, or friendship, or if a service can be... Not that kind of service, but if a service can be can be done. I want to know what kind of thing is going to help us out with that and how to proceed from there.
All right, so normally this would be an insight roll. Since insight's going to be the same bonus as perception in your case, because it's also wisdom. I'll just sort of say that that's your insight roll.
I thought it'd be perception because that's how Sherlock does it. He's just like, oh, you have your ring is very dirty on one side but clean on the other. That means these things, which means that you're obviously cheating on your husband.
If it concerns interpreting people, it would be, generally speaking, insight.
Gotcha.
Investigation might also count if you were, I guess, being like a detective. Yeah, but I'll use insight because I know your intelligence score is lower anyway, so 15 is fine. All right. Let's see. She looks like she's very self-capable. Like there's not really a part of her that appears to be like nervous or anything like that. She seems like she has a complete handle of the situation. You sense that probably the best way to get on her good side is to sort of not make her job difficult. She's being very friendly at this point, but she could easily turn unfriendly if pressed. I guess humoring her would be the best way to get on her good side.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll open with, well, hello there. Hang on. Let me just think of the words because I'm
you
not
can
quite
also
as
write
smooth talking as my counterpart.
Yes. You can also type out stuff if you want. I'll generally type out dialogue so it's easier for me.
Yeah. Hello there. You seem to know quite a bit about us, so I'm not going to waste your time. As you've probably figured out, I'm not really the one you want to talk to, but I can take you to the one that you do. And I'll open the door and gesture for her to come inside.
All right. So Valor, you see the door open, and Vampyro, you see the goblin sort of sneer as he sees the two walk inside, and he slams the door to his business before walking out of the scene.
Fuck
so
that guy.
So yeah, you walk inside with her, and she sort of looks around. She has kind of a you can see that her nose is a little wrinkled from the odor of musk. Let me just change the scene
like
here.
2 days. Like I didn't have a chance to shower because Chris lit the mansion on fire, or the inn on fire. Okay. And before that,
Okay,
I
so
got
basically-
riddled with arrows. Sorry, go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, so basically, what I have done, just before, like, as I was going to walk towards the front door, before they came in, I have assumed the opulent lounging wear that my perfect fit clothing will allow me to wear. So it's like really fancy casual wear that like important people would wear if they're being important, but like not in public. So as I do that, I casually like munch on my churro and invite Becky to come along with me. As I walk up to the lady, I wink at her and say, "Well, hello there."
You're not taking this girl from me, Shane. I'm the one who has the thing for elves. Okay, we're gonna have girls.
Well, with my other eye, I wink at Brutalitops to let him know this is all a con.
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna offer to take her coat from her, like a gentleman.
She refuses.
Okay. I say fair enough. I'll say, Valor, if you'd be so kind as to fetch Pogus, and my lady, if you'll allow me to retire briefly, I need to change from my adventuring clothes into something a little more appropriate to the situation.
So she sort of walks and like paces around the grand foyer. I'll just describe the building at hand. You can see sort of this image here. This is the grand foyer of your wonderfully dilapidated mansion.
This looks like Count Olaf's house.
It almost does, doesn't it? So there's many rooms in this place. The grand foyer, dingy. The cloakroom, mothy. The dining hall, dirty. The kitchens and pantry, in disrepair. Music parlor, rusty. Gallery, musty. Sitting room, moldy. Library, wormy. Lavatory, clogged. Bathing room, mildewy. Rear veranda, cracked. Gardens, overgrown. Cellar, gargoyled. And that, of course, is where
is that where Pogus hangs out?
Pogus hangs out. He is currently in the cellar of Gint Manor. We'll go to Vampyro for a sec. Vampyro, what are you going to do?
I'd like to approach Valor and give him all the stuff back since I've been holding it for him.
All right, so Valor was going to fetch Pogus. So as you enter Gint Manor, you see this woman sort of standing there on her own in the foyer. Do you introduce yourself or just sort of ignore her?
I'll simply nod and continue.
Alrighty.
Out of character thing I just want to mention here. It sounds like we should just kill Pogus and sell the manor. It doesn't seem like it's in really good state.
Probably pretty strong though, and like the way I'm thinking of this is I feel like there's like the overarching sense of like we're gonna have to make the manor nice, and like I don't want to have to like we can make him do things while we're gone. We're like, all right, Pogus, we want you to get someone to repair the grand foyer, so it's not as.
Oh yeah, no, I'm 100% behind fixing it up. I'm just saying, from a practical perspective, as someone who's not in sold houses before, sounds like there's a lot of work to put in. I don't know if it's worth it. You know, there's going to be a lot of contractors involved.
Yeah, we're making that his problem. Him and Pinkman can deal with this. We're sticking around, like we're out adventuring, earning the big bucks. We're the ones out there bringing home the bacon. He's gonna have to tend to the house. Otherwise, one of us is gonna have to do it. And like, fuck that. But yeah, in the interest of keeping a good impression with her, I'm gonna retire to wherever my bedroom is. I'm gonna change into my nice clothes. Like I have a feathered vest and a gold chain. I'm gonna put on my silver spectacles because they make me look like Beast from the 80s X-Men cartoon. But I'm gonna I'm gonna take what they call a horse bath, where I'm gonna like go and like grab like a cloth and like wash myself in a sink, like, you know, just get all like the stank out, like the worst of it, and like comb my head hair, not the rest of it because that would take forever, let's be honest, but you know, just so I look a little more presentable.
Sounds good. Speaking of bedrooms, we must sort of decide who has what. So Valor and Brutalitops, you would have both claimed a bed chamber. So there's 4 bed chambers. There's the master bed chamber, which is Ratty, the yellow bed chamber, which is Catty, the downstairs bed chamber, which is Buggy, and the hall bed chamber, which is filled with garbage.
Okay, so
which one would you like?
Assuming that nice. I'm assuming that we would, because Valor's kind of like been my boss the whole time, he would probably get the nice one, right? Because like he's kind of the leader of this band of berry men. With me being his personal bodyguard, I'm assuming that the yellow bed chamber is close by, because downstairs is obviously in a different place.
Yeah, the yellow bed chamber would be on a top floor, like a higher floor. Whereas the downstairs bed chamber is the only one that is downstairs.
Right, but is the master and the yellow on the same floor?
The master, the yellow, and the hall bed chamber are all on the second floor.
I'll take the yellow, which is really, we're gonna have to repaint that at some point because yellow and blue just don't go.
All right, so the yellow bed chamber is catty, which means that there have been cats sleeping in it, and it has the notable odor of cat urine, and there may be some stray kittens here or there.
Oh, it smells like my apartment. Not really.
Valor, which bed chamber would you like?
Bugs are gross. All the garbage is okay, but I mean,
the master bed chamber, it's gross now, but like it's gonna be the best one.
Maybe. I mean, but I feel kind of weird just like unilaterally taking it. But yeah, sure. If everyone else is okay with it, yeah, I'll take the master bed chamber.
You're like, I'm not gonna take it over you. You're my boss. And Chris has last dibs out of fairness because he didn't live here already. It's assumed
correct. So
except for him.
Vampyro, obviously you don't have a bed chamber yet, but if you were to choose one at some point during the game, of the 2 remaining, the downstairs and the hall bed chamber, which would he prefer? Or you could just pick a random room if you wanted to.
We're going with the hall bed chamber.
All right. So it is currently filled with garbage, but of course you can get rid of that with time. That means the quadri will be in the buggy down bed chamber. I just wanted to get that out of the way before we continued. Valor, you head downstairs into the cellar. It is currently gargoyled, and what that means is that over time, Pogus has sort of transformed this underground area into a brick laden, like he's transformed it from a like dirt cellar into something quite presentable. So it has sort of brick walls. Almost every square inch of wall, however, is now covered with bookshelves that are sagging with tomes. He has brought down pretty much every book from the library that he liked, like that was to do with magic, into this small space. So you sort of have to navigate this maze of bookshelves until you find him like squatting and crouching before a large desk that he's sort of cut the legs off so it's at his height. And his skin sort of groans with stony crackling as he turns to face you and says, "Oh, Valor, hello."
Well, hello there, Pogus. How fares thee this day?
I fare as well as I fare every day. That is to say, rather damp. A little bit in need of a what is it called? Demossing. Otherwise, though, he's kind of pleased to see you, and he asks, "How was your latest venture? Did you return with resources, coin, magical items?"
Yes, all of the above. And I have this sneaking suspicion that we'll have some good stories to hear from Brutalitops and Vampyro. Oh, by the way, we have an undead friend now.
We talked to him in session 2, so he knows about that, and he knows about Pinkman, I think.
Speaking of Pinkman, there was no sign of him yet in the house.
Motherfucker better... If he took off, I'm going to be pissed. We're going after him if he took off, because he is indebted to us.
Did you, so Shane, did you want to have a conversation with Pogus, or just sort of ask him to come upstairs with you?
I think for now, basically, I'll just ask him to come upstairs. Because I'm thinking that I know a lot more about what happened last session than my character does. So yeah, I'll just ask him to come upstairs. We have a visitor, and she seems really interested in talking to us about something. I didn't ask when I was up there what she wanted to know, but definitely come up and say hi.
So Pog gets a very sort of like anxious look on his face and says, "Oh, a visitor. Oh, and he gets visibly nervous, but he will follow you just slowly on hands and knees. He has obviously a weird gait, being a gargoyle.
Pog is like somebody from Hoarders.
Well, at least his trash is useful trash. That's all manner of arcane volumes.
All think that, don't they? Like.
Anyway, you return up the stairs. You hear like the stairs as he climbs them just creak. He's really heavy. Like he's like about 600 pounds. So he's challenging the architecture, to say the least. So when he spots Alyssa in the central foyer, he sort of stands still. Let me actually change the music here.
Yeah. I'm assuming that by the time they get up there, I'll be done changing and walking,
yes.
So I'll come back down and participate.
But definitely. Well, Brutalitops would also challenge the architecture, to say the least. As soon as Pog sees Alyssa, he freezes, and being a gargoyle, there's literally zero motion. He is so still that if you didn't know any better, you'd say he was dead, basically, or a non-living being. He refuses to move forward, and like you can tug him all you want, Valor. You can try to make him go with you, but he's just like frozen in place in terror.
You said he's only like 600 pounds? I'm pretty sure I can lift that, actually. Let me check. I'm 300.
In the meanwhile, while you're trying to do that, I will look at August and say, "Dear friend, perhaps we should go talk to our visitor. What do you think?"
He seems... Oh, wait, persuasion. All right, that's fair enough. I will...
Nice.
Let's see. That's going to be enough. He sort of loosens slightly. And then like his limbs become a little limber, and he just very like shakily and slowly grinds his way across the floor to where Alyssa is standing. Obviously, Vampyro, you see Valor, and that's when you can exchange coin and stuff if you want to.
Yep, I did.
Okay. All right, so all of you are standing in the same room. Pog is sort of looking to the side, ashamedly. He's not saying anything. And Alyssa says to Brutalitops, who is now freshly freshened, she has a slightly different look on her face, as if slightly impressed that such a beastly animal can look so refined, I guess. And she says, well, who might you wish me to speak to?
That would be our gargoyle friend here. Pogus. He is the keeper of the house.
She turns toward the gargoyle with a very confused or disbelieving expression on her face and says, oh, I see. And she sort of crouches down and holds out her hand to shake his. It creaks and groans until they're able to shake, and she stands back up. She kind of looks at all of you and addresses everyone at once, and she says, well, I suppose I must continue with with my business here. Master of the house, guests, please pay close attention to what I have to say next. It is very important, at least if you wish to keep this property. And at that, Pog he looks quite concerned. So she'll continue. Just give me 1 second here.
Mm-hmm.